They said they wanted power.
Oh, awesome.
Zaba Zakalush Kalamatskalo.
Welcome to Guru Talks.
Guru?
What do they do, like levitate and chill on mountaintops?
Not exactly, but you are in the right place to find out everything you need to know, and it's actually quite simple. I am your host, Florian Boschi, and I will be going extra deep with Guru Bhaneswaranand each and every show. We are covering deep truths about relationships, success in business, world peace, and many other topics. Oh, and of course, enlightenment. Because our Guru, well, he is enlightened. This is the fourth episode of Guru Talks. Welcome, everybody. We are going to speak today as well about love relationships. It is our love relationships show number 2. Good day, Guru Bhaneswaranand. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm very fine and thank you. How are you?
I am also good. Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice.
I thought we go right into it if it's okay with you.
Yes.
And I thought we start to talk a little bit about the balance of the masculine and the feminine energies in the world. There has been relatively recent movements in the last 50 years of emancipation, of feminism, an attempt to break out from patriarchal structures that have been in place for close to 1,000 years, maybe more than 1,000 years, maybe many thousands of years. There are stories that report that large parts of our planet of socialization in the past were matriarchies, where the feminine power has always been in charge. May that be as it may, it has not been this way in the last 1,000 years. It seems like there is some anger that exists between the feminine and the masculine. It seems there is a cleft of sorts maybe that is happening. Now, my question is, has it always been like this? Was there anything particular that happened where the suppression of the feminine in our world has started? And what are possible solutions, if any?
In my opinion, feminine were always superior to masculine. The power of creation and to nourish that creation was always with feminine, and which is the biggest power as far as I know. Now the problem started probably with the men, that they started telling the female counterpart that your height is less. Less height does not mean that you are powerless. Your body is weak. All these things were ridiculous, and then we got them engaged to come up physically as equal to the masculine power, or equal to shoulder, which was probably not needed, and that was the biggest problem humanity had.
Okay, but if I may ask, why did this happen? I mean, look, every man is born to a woman, has a mother who he probably loves and cherishes. Every man wants and probably always wanted a woman to lay with, to, I don't know, spend the weekends with, come home from battle and fall into her arms, be loved, feel that feminine love, feel that feminine care. Why did men feel the need to tell women, look, you are less, you're weak, you're not strong, you're dumb, you're not... Why?
Look, I think that is the nature of the our society in which we live. You ask anybody, how is your superior boss? They definitely does not have a good opinion about it, and they always want their bosses to change. Probably women were so strong and so powerful of creation and nourishing that in starting maybe some men were jealous of, and because of that jealousy this whole movement must have started.
Okay. So, how do you see this phenomenon in the last 50 years, since emancipation started, since feminism has started, since, on Facebook or on the internet, there seems to be an uproar of women who say, no, it is enough. We're not doing this anymore. What is this? Is this a healing process that is happening?
You can say so. You see, masculine and feminine energies are different. To say that one is superior and one is inferior, I do not believe in it. There is nothing superior and nothing inferior. We are different energies and for designed for different purposes. So there is nothing that women are inferior or women are superior. Women are women and men are men. We must all try to live in harmony and in in a nice way.
Can we clarify this? Because the first sentence of the show, you said that women have always been superior, and now you're saying nobody is superior.
You see, things were relative. When you say that men are superior, I have got a concept that no, women were superior. Their job was to nourish, which men otherwise cannot do. And in my eyes, when I see the relatively whether men or women are superior, I find that women are superior. But otherwise, the concept of superiority and inferiority does not exist at all. It is the creation has given different jobs and different responsibility to men and women, and according to that we should behave.
Okay. You yourself come from a society from India that is known to still have relatively strong patriarchal structures in place. At least that's what is being portrayed in the media. What are your thoughts on that, your perceptions on that? Is it like that? If it is, do you see any solutions there or a development?
You see, societies everywhere are similar. The problem exists everywhere, somewhere little less or somewhere little more, but they are everywhere. And if the problems are there, solutions are also there.
Okay, that's a very general answer. So, how do you perceive the patriarchal society that is being portrayed in the media in India? Do you notice this yourself in your surroundings? How are women treated? How are men treated? How are they coexisting together?
You will have to elaborate a little your question. How are women being treated in India or elsewhere? You please tell me.
Well, okay. So, for example, I met a computer engineer on the Delhi airport last time I was there, who has been out of the country for several years, and he said himself, well, before he left India, he wasn't even aware of the strong patriarchal structures that exist in India, and he gave me an example. He was saying that, for example, his sister and him in his family, it was always clear that he would be the one where more focus was given on his university education, where more focus was given on his ability to generate money. Whereas for his sister, or I think he had two sisters, for his sisters, it was always kind of like a pre-given path that they would learn to cook, that they would learn to sew, to do the homework, the housework, to do these kind of things. And they did not even have the idea to veer outside of these pre-given structures. For them, it was very clear. And that's why they also stayed in their hometown. They stayed in the parents' house. They were not thinking about becoming a computer engineer, going to a different country, making a huge career. And he said that this phenomenon exists all over the place in his hometown. I forgot what it is. It's somewhere a couple of 100 kilometers south of Delhi, I believe. But he was saying that this exists definitely, and that men are given more opportunities.
I think you are right. I met a couple very recently from United States, and they were saying almost the same thing. So it's not place a place specific. It is the problems of the society. And originally, as I have said, that women were having the power of nourishing and power to do the creation and nourishing. Society was designed in such a way that men were being trained to take care of the women, and women were independent in their homes, doing the nice small jobs and taking care of the creation, taking care of the children, taking care of the children education and all that. And yes, it was there almost in all the societies, and I think there was nothing wrong in it.
Which brings us straight to a very important topic. Does feminism have it wrong? You were writing in your book, The Art of Loving, that the movement of emancipation is in some ways mistaken. And I think I'm bringing this in because it seems to fit with what you just said. Is feminism an attempt to bring back feminine power, or is it a movement that makes men out of women?
Yes, I think what at the moment is going on in the world, that we want our women to become men, which is probably not possible. Women are women, men are men, men are little strong built, women are not that strong built. Women has more capacity and capabilities compared to men. Nursing is a very big responsibility, and that they are doing perfectly. The idea should be that we allow women to be women and not drag them to be like us, like men.
But when you say we should, are you talking about we men should, or we as a
We as a
society?
society in which comprises of men as well as women.
Okay, because when when you talk to some of these women who are on the extreme of this, then it seems like that they want to be that. It's an inner need they have. It's not something we make them do.
I know.
They feel like they need to break out of a given structure, and maybe thus they want to become more like men. I'm not sure, but that's what it appears to me.
If some of them want to be, I mean, they should have be liberty to do that. But in general, look, whatever the training we are provided within our childhood, we are the same person. So probably for a long time now we have been telling that you are weak, you need to be strong, you need to be strong, and therefore there is a tendency in the women to be different than what they are designed for. And in my opinion, still women should be given enough respect and should be in the womanhood, which should be very nice.
So let's say a woman who is very much in this dynamic, and she's on some level attempting to be stronger, more masculine, without necessarily using that term, and she's in a relationship. Do you think this kind of dynamic will have a negative influence or will create a negative aspect in a love relationship? Or does it have a dynamic, or what do you say to that?
I think it has got no relevance. Women can have like a man also and can have a nice relationship. It has got really no relevance.
Okay. Now, there is the other side to it, which is a phenomenon that is also relatively recent in the last maybe 20 years or so, which is a phenomenon called the feminization of men. So it seems like that with that it seems like maybe that the genders in general, not just the women are moving towards the masculine, maybe also the men are moving towards the feminine. What do you think about that?
Yes, yes, it is possible because society as a whole started teaching us. They started teaching the men caring. They started teaching the women to be little masculine type. So yes, if the change is there in the women part of the society, change is also there in the masculine part of the society. They now started cooking, they started doing the nursing, they started doing this, and there is nothing wrong in it. We as a man and woman are meant to live together and do each other's work. There is definitely a good harmony when I start doing women's work and women start doing little bit of my work. It's a good harmony, and we should feel good and proud of it instead of feeling bad about it.
So you're saying this has no relevance on the relationships, yet at the same time in your book, you're writing that women on an emotional level or on a deep soul level want to be led by the one man that they can give themselves to. On the other hand, you were saying that men want to lead the one woman that gives herself to them. You were explaining this as a deep emotional need. Now you're saying that the genders coming together, women becoming more like men becoming more like women, has no effect on relationships. But at the same time, wouldn't that imply that this deep emotional need of being led or guided and being the leader, the guide to a woman for a man, wouldn't that deep...
Not at all. Not at all. You see, if a woman has got more power, that does never mean that it doesn't want a man to take her in her arms. She definitely want it. Similarly, if a male has got less masculine power, that does not mean that he doesn't want to take a woman in his arms. It is, I mean, both the things are not related. We are trying to relate few things which are not related, in fact.
Really? Because part of this whole movement of women standing up against the suppression of patriarchy is a lot of anger. It's a pressure cooker. When you look at, at social media and you start to talk about certain topics, there will be an uproar. And this is very much tied into women trying to be treated equally professionally, getting the same pay, having the same say. It doesn't always come with a loving, let's be together. It doesn't matter in our relationship. It comes with a pain, with a hurt, with anger.
I have met many women. I think most of them I have met, they were all superior to me.
Okay.
When I was working, my immediate boss was a woman. When I was trying to be in spirituality, my guru was also a woman. I don't know how, I mean, two salaries, two wages can never be equal, maybe. Little more or little less, how does that make a difference? Women were always superior to me in my circle, and I have never felt inferior. I rather felt their love, their caring. They have cared about me like anything. I love my mother the most, and uh, I can give my life for her.
Okay.
And she has really taken care of me very nicely.
Okay. Do you feel like...
And she was superior to
Okay.
me.
Do you feel like this is a generalization that can be made for all men or for other men too, or this is particularly for you?
Yes, if it is true for me, it is true for others also. Unless you have got some vested interest and you want to prove because of your ego, because of your other things wrong, then it is something different. Otherwise, I feel you also had a mother.
I have a mother.
Yeah, you have a mother. She is superior to you. Does that make she earns more than you? Why should you be jealous of it? And you are not, and nobody is.
You know, sometimes I feel like you are judging the world from your own emotionless state, but it is just not true that there is a lot of anger between men and women. I mean, look at some of the. I mean, you have seen some of the posts that went up from Gurudam on Facebook, and how there were hundreds of people responding with a lot of emotion. So to say that everything is hunky dory might be true from an perspective of an enlightened person, but when we look at societal challenges and issues, we cannot deny deep emotional wounds that exist between men and women.
Every topic we bring in anywhere, whether on social media or anywhere on any platform, it is not necessary that everybody will have the same opinion as I have or as we have. See, different opinions always were in the society, they will always be in the society, and it is a healthy nature of the society that we have got opposite different opinions. We must respect each other's opinion and try to learn from our opposition and not think that it is opposition and it's not good. It is good. I mean, a different opinions has got more value than a single opinion.
I understand. I think what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get a little bit deeper into the emotional dynamic that is happening. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
In the book The Art of Loving, you wrote that women want to be led and they want to submit themselves to the right partner. How many women came to you after that and asked you to change the word from submit to a different word, a less explosive word?
You really want? I think most of the men came to me and wanted me to change this.
Okay. So there were no women.
The lady about whom you are talking, she was crying a day or two before because she was rejected by a man. Look, it is very difficult for me to understand about myself. But believe me, I know you are asking a question which may create some controversies, but every woman deep inside want to come back home in the arms of a male energy and rest in those arms. These storms should be strong enough to take care of her, is her inner wish and desire. I maintain it, and I mean, if you want to prove it, something otherwise, it is easy to prove. But deep inside, all those who say this is not true, I have spoken to them a little bit and then found that it is very natural and very true.
I think, I have at least 20 responses or 20 discussions or conversations in mind where women told me different things in regards to these topics. This could range from I'm better off alone. I don't need anybody in my life. I don't need anybody to control me. I want to be in power. And you could hear in their voices that there is an
Pain.
Yes,
You
pain.
see, when they say this, you have not seen their emotions, my friend. They say these words in pain because a male has failed to give them what they wanted to have. And because of that severe pain, they say it, not because they don't want a man to take care of them.
And the other way around, I guess men have just as much pain if they are not allowed to take care of a woman, if they are not allowed to be in the lead. Could you say that?
Look, masculine energy and feminine energy are for each other. Whatever masculine does not have, feminine has it. And whatever feminine does not have, masculine has it. I don't know from where the concept or idea has come to prove each other is smaller than the others. The idea is whatever I do not have, my feminine part has it and I need it. And therefore, I'm obliged to take care of her nicely, and she is in turn take care of me nicely. If we want to have a nice society, we must accept the fact that my other half is away from me, and when it comes to me, I get pleasure, I get peace, I get nourishment, I get everything I like in my life. And same is for feminine too.
Very good. Let's go back to this to this point again that women are in pain because they are not being led correctly by a man, so they get to a point where they don't allow it anymore, or where they give up on it, basically, right? So, what does it mean for a man to lead a woman so that she will be fulfilled?
What a man needs? Well, that's very, very nice question. At least you have come to this. Number one, honesty. Number two, a inner desire to take care about somebody. Number three, fearlessness. If man has got these three qualities, I think the woman will always be happy.
So, okay, that's like saying, well, if you fly to the moon, she will be happy. Well, I mean, what you say, we have discussed this in the last show, but fearlessness is not really something you can just snip your fingers and then it's there.
Why have we feared from women? Because number one, some of us have seen our parents fighting or quarreling. That is another social structure I think we have already discussed, or we can discuss sometimes later. You see, anything what is happening in our childhood has got impact on us. And it's not that there are no good couples who doesn't take care of their counterparts. There are some. There are also some which are not able to do that. We as a society, we as a social structure should try to solve these problems instead of saying that this is bad and women are bad, men are good, men are bad, women are good. This, I mean, both both part of ourselves are good and both part of ourselves are bad. We have to accept our other part as it is, as good and bad, and most of the problems will get solved. We will live in harmony. We need each other, and we must understand that we need each other. Most of the problems will get automatically solved.
Okay, so you're saying that what a woman needs, just to get back to this one more time, what a woman needs is a man who has the willingness to lead, so the willingness to take the commitment. And you were also saying that he needs to be fearless. When I asked deeper about it, you said, why does a man need to fear a woman? But when you're talking about fear, you're probably talking about fear in general. If the man comes to the woman and worries about everything, about his job, about this, will this work out, and it's just afraid. Is this also a problem in terms of leadership, or are we really just talking about the fear of the man, the man's fear of the woman herself? Or is it fear in general that is the issue?
Fear in general also will contribute a little bit, but fear of women in particular will ruin the life. Look, why marriages are not happening or why are they not successful? Because we start fearing from the first day itself that I don't know what would be her response after some time. Wow, what would be his response after some time? Look, we have to trust each other. We have to have faith in each other, and most of our fears will go away from us.
Okay, so let's see, take an example here. Let's say a man and a woman are getting married, and the man is afraid of the woman betraying him, and the woman is afraid of the man betraying him. So they agree to a prenuptial agreement. So they have an agreement that in case of a divorce, in case of a separation, they will divide their assets in a certain way. That makes them both feel safe. Now, if they don't have this prenuptial agreement and trust each other, I would think that that would increase the fear, because you can say you trust somebody, but that doesn't mean you really do. Do you see what I'm saying?
Look, the concept which you are telling me can be counted on fingers. This arrangement of dividing into two parts and all that. We have been staying together for centuries, for millenniums, without this concept also. Nothing has gone wrong. Solution is not in dividing. Solution, my friend, lies in uniting. And if we have trust in each other, we will unite in such a way that there would be no parting and no division will be needed.
Okay. If you put your trust in your actions onto the other person, how does that diminish fear? It seems like it would increase the fear because you increase the risk. The more you trust in your actions, the more you can be hurt. So if you emotionally don't trust, the result of it will be that you have more fear, not less.
You are trying to measure something which is not measurable. When you trust, you trust. Nothing exists. If something exists, that means that I don't trust. If even iota of doubt about my partner in my heart exists, that means I do not trust. I have a trust that Florian is my disciple and I have taken him as my disciple. I I have never had any doubt about you. Did I have it?
Not that I know of.
No. No.
Maybe secretly.
And if I have it secretly, you will immediately come to know about it. Secrets don't last very long.
Not in the ashram, yeah.
Okay.
So how do you, what's your advice for people? Because you're saying this like it is, it's taking lunch or something. But I mean, obviously this is something that you're an expert at, since you are liberated, you're enlightened, you're liberated. You're an expert on emotional control, you could say, or since you have the absence of emotions, you're a total expert on it. But what is your advice for people who have been shown throughout their childhood, maybe, or throughout past lives, maybe, who knows, that they cannot trust? And now you're telling them as an advice, well, the most important thing for your relationship to be happy and to last is trust. As if it's a simple thing, which I promise you, I don't know if you can imagine, if you can put yourself in the place of regular people who are confronted with their emotional body. that it is not like that. It is not that simple. It is not you snip with your fingers and you move from a non-trust state of mind into a fully, no doubt, I give myself to you, no questions asked state of mind. You say it like it is easy, but is it?
You see, the most difficult thing of my life was learning alphabets.
Okay.
But did I give it up?
I don't think so. Since you can read and write.
Yeah, yes. So that's what I'm saying, that anything we want to learn is difficult. Nothing is easy in this universe. But yes, if we try, we will definitely be able to succeed in whatever we want to do. The moment we decide that I want to be trustworthy, I want to have my trust in others, my mind starts working on it and it happens. Every time we try to meet a person and if we say, oh, yeah, I don't trust this guy, I don't trust this girl, and then you will end up in non trusting. But if you start thinking, no, she is good and I trust her and I will take care of her, come what may. I do not expect anything from her. I just want to give myself to her. She will take care of you for lifetime.
So just maybe to give this is a made up example, but it is, as you know, I have worked as a therapist, um, an acupuncturist for many years, and I have been confronted with obviously many people who have emotional issues. So let's say somebody decides I want to trust, and they are in a relationship, and they realize that not trusting is detrimental to their own well-being and to the well-being of the relationship, and they make a decision. I will trust. I will unconditionally trust. And then what I have observed many times is that when then something happens that disproves that who they want to trust can be trusted. For example, their partner cheats on them, or often it is even like a very small thing, like the partner doesn't come home 3 times a week on time and doesn't call, or whatever it is. Then immediately it seems like that resolution of trusting gets overshadowed by an immediate emotional outbreak or outcry, and then all resolutions are blown in the wind, and all that is there for the moment, at least for a couple of hours, maybe for a few days, is this overwhelming feeling of disappointment. And you can rationally tell yourself 100 times, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust, I will trust. On a vibrational, energetic level, you're still overshadowed by that doubt, by that hurt, by that disappointment. How do we deal with that?
Okay. Okay. Let us say that you have not trusted. Can you then say for sure that nothing wrong will happen?
No, it is ultimately in reality the same.
Every system has got the chances of failure. I do not deny that with you. But chances of success are multifold in the system of trusting than in the system of non-trusting. Number one, uh, you have said that it is a made-up example.
Yeah, I mean, it is something that I have experienced, but I don't have a specific person in mind right now. Yes.
Yeah, usually I believe and I feel and I have got a very strong opinion about it that if I am good, everyone is good to me. It's the things what I have reflects on others. So if I have got trust in somebody, I think automatically he will be trustworthy. My grandfather used to tell me, he's no more on this earth now, but he used to tell me, if you want trustworthy people around you, start trusting them. Start trusting them, and then he will say third times also, start trusting them.
Now, this is great because I have watched you, seen you, and more than anyone I know, you are actually really doing this. This also means, though, that in some instances you will trust and your trust will get abused. And what you do, from what I have seen you do, is you keep trusting. And the person might disappoint you again, and disappoint you again, and disappoint you again, but you don't get disappointed. You just, it's almost as if you pretend that that didn't happen. And then after a while, you are right, people start to change their behavior. But that doesn't happen always immediately. So it seems like your strong point of a cause and effect universe, that if we put out trust, that trust will come back, is ultimately true, at least in most cases, but there can be testing phases in relationships where people will abuse this trust that you give. Well, does that make sense? Do you understand? Do you see my point?
Yes, look, it may happen. I'm not denying that it will not happen. But mostly, even if it happens, the other person always feels something in their heart that, yes, my partner was very nice. I probably was not good enough for my partner. Look, good things will always have values, truth will always have values, and I think even if there are some lacunas in the right system, we should
Some
still,
lacunas?
yeah,
Some lacunas?
yes,
What's that?
some shortcomings in some right system, we must still try it. And believe me, you do not have a better system than this. If you have, we try to implement that. But today, in my opinion, this is the best possible system to have a nice relationship between men and women, and we must try it unless you have got a better option.
Yeah. So you're basically, just to summarize, and this is great, you're saying the system works. Maybe it's not perfect, but it works to a high percentage. But even if your trust gets betrayed, once you decide for a relationship, you keep trusting no matter what. Is that correct? Am I saying this correctly?
It may not be true for everybody, but yes, if I'm at that place, I will keep doing it.
I know you do. I've seen you do that. This is a lot of responsibility, yes, but you say that when you start working in this direction, you start acting this way, that your fear will diminish.
Yes, look, if you ask my opinion, how the love happens these days, that itself, I mean, you meet and so much of love is there in a day, and everything is fine, and everything is becomes bad in 4 or 5 days. That is ridiculous. We must take little time maybe to decide to be together. And when you have made your decision, you should never go back from your decision. This is what I personally feel. And if you have made a decision and you don't go back from your decision, usually your partner will also never go back. And you will have a very nice and decent life on this earth.
It takes some strength to do that, wouldn't you say?
Yes, everything takes strength to do. Anything we want to do, it takes strength. A very, very small thing uh, I have been doing. I was getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning after my morning rituals, and the first thing is that I will call my mother. It was not easy. It was not at all easy. Some days she will not be available in starting and everything. And then a relation is formed that every 6 o'clock she waits for my call. And if it becomes 6:15, she calls me back, says, "Son, what has gone wrong? Why did you not call me?" So everything, I mean, nothing is easy, but if you have got strength, if you have got the willpower, if you have got the things to do, you will be able to do it and you will definitely succeed in it.
Is there a recommendation you have for those who don't feel like they have the willpower?
Yes, they should develop their willpower.
Okay, how do you do that?
Make a decision, and we in spirituality call it sankalpa. Whatever sankalpa we take, we do exactly as per that sankalpa. So, whatever decision you make in your life, try to adhere to that decision till the last. You have made that decision. You analyze all the circumstances when you are trying to make a decision and not after that. After having made a decision, try to adhere to that and everything will become all right.
Okay, that reminds me a little bit of the knight's code in the medieval times, where the knights would stand by their word no matter what. I think the knight's code is very famous. It was based on honor. Is this based on honor too, or what is the dynamic, or what are your thoughts behind this?
It is honoring yourself. I'm not telling you to honor anybody else, but if you start honoring yourself, you will automatically start honoring every other being in the universe.
So willpower is a result of this strategy, or of this kind of acting this way.
Yeah, you can say so. You can say so. If you start honoring your decisions, your willpower is always strong.
But does your willpower need to be strong to begin with to even attempt something like this, or does your willpower develop as you are attempting to do this?
Look, everybody has got the willpower. Everybody has got some willpower. Okay. And when you start attempting these, your willpower increases and your life becomes much better.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let's just get back to, because before we were speaking about what does a man need to do in his leadership for a woman to be fulfilled. I think it's just fair to also ask the same question from the other side. What are the women's qualities that we should focus on developing for a man to be fulfilled in a relationship? Or is it the same? Is it also no fear? Is it also the ability to lead? It seems like that might be a different answer here.
Yes, I mean you are a man, you know what a woman should have. The love which all women has. They they have inherited the qualities needed to be loved, and they have them. If they don't try to be not natural, I think they have everything to fulfill the relationship.
So just be natural.
Be as natural as possible.
So this is a very different answer than you gave for the men, because it seems like for a man to fulfill a woman, there is an effort involved of taking responsibility to lead, and an effort involved of trying to overcome your fear.
There is a very strong saying, if you have heard, women have sex to be loved. Men love because they want to have sex. Physiologically, you have been a doctor, I think you can understand. You have to study a lot of mammals, female and mammals, male. Physiologically, there is a little difference, and yes, men probably need to do a lot, and maybe women they don't have to do much to run the relationship nicely.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to make sense from an energetic perspective. The feminine receives, whereas the masculine imparts. So the masculine is more involved in an active process, whereas the woman just receives that energy that comes from the man. Could you say that? Is that correct? A correct?
No, it's not that. Both of them receives and both of them gives. But yes, uh, I think physiologically maybe you have to discuss this sometimes later with somebody or with me. Uh, Bodies are different, and men may have to do little more efforts than women to smoothly run the relationship.
Okay. So now that we have basically finally arrived at the topic of sexuality, maybe we'll stay with it for a moment. There was one aspect that you spoke about a while ago, and I think it's also in your book, that the basic dynamic or the basic drive for every love relationship is sexuality and sexuality only. You were very strong about this point. Maybe, please correct me if I'm wrong, but to me it felt like you were very strong about this point that the sex is the ultimate driver of any love relationship. So much so that almost all other factors have little or no influence. Maybe I'm exaggerating, but I wanted to bring this point up because I felt like there is something there for us to discuss that's important.
Yeah, it is. It is. You see, love for me is have different form, like love between two brothers, love between siblings, mother, father, and all that. But the sexual love in which a boyfriend and a girlfriend is attracted, the binding force is always the sex.
Oh, the binding force is the sex. Okay. This is interesting because you are also saying at the same time that we should strive to have relationships where we free ourselves from binding forces. So, should we free ourselves from sex?
No, you should not free yourself from the sex, but the binding what you have due to sex. This is what I say. I think. Look, if you don't want to have sex, this relationship does not exist. Okay. So now, the moment you meet somebody, I always say that sexual love is based on binding. I think if you read the book or must have heard me this thing, sexual love is always based on the binding. The moment you meet your girlfriend, you want to make her yours. Or a moment some girls meet a boy, she wants that boy to be hers. And if you remember what you are saying, that I also say the freeing, I say, if you want to be happy in relationship, bring a little spirituality in it. Start expecting less. Start giving breathes to your partner. Allow them to live their life. Then the chances of your relationship succeeding are higher compared to when you always try to bind. Because the moment you want to bind somebody, what happens, you want to give your thought pattern on that person. What she is feeling or what he is feeling, you are not bothered, you are not thinking of. You are, I want this, I want this, I want this, you have not done this, you have not done this, uh, I wanted this way and you have not done this. This is something which looks very nice when the relationship starts, but after few days, few months, few years, you start feeling bound about it. And if you try to free and bring little bit of spiritual love in it, it always blossoms. You then have respect for each other's opinions more than in binding love. And when you have respect for each other's opinion more, the relationship also blossoms.
Yeah, that's very wonderful. So, just to get back to the sexuality, so you're saying that the force behind or the energy behind these dynamics of, honey, you didn't do this, the dynamics of these kind of like expectations that we have, and the control mechanisms that are in place, they are solely based on sexual energy, it seems like.
Yes.
And you're also saying that love relationships won't exist if there isn't a desire to have sex.
Why? Why will they exist?
Well, there are relationships, and maybe they are not love relationships anymore, but they certainly started as such, that, there was sex. And, there are many relationships that even start with very little sex and eventually they have none. They might have a child, they might have a career together, or an apartment together, or a house together, or be tied into each other's lives in some way or form, but they don't have sex anymore. They still are man and wife, husband and wife, man and woman, husband and wife. They still live together as lovers.
And why you think that they don't have sex anymore?
Maybe they're looking elsewhere. I don't know. Maybe it's not fulfilling to them.
I don't think. If love is there, sex automatically happens. And I tell you, my parents are married for about 63 years. And one day I was saying my father, very recently, because my mother was sick. I said, I'm taking my mother with me. And maybe I don't know whether at this age you need her. And he says, what you talk about? I need her the same way as I was needing her in my 20s.
How old is your father?
I hope that answers.
I'm not sure. Let
Yes.
me wait for a moment. How old is your father?
He's 82.
So they probably don't have sex anymore. I don't want to assume, but it can't be too big of a factor in their life. So it's
No,
actually kind of contradicting what you were saying before, that our need is based on sexual energy. However, if that sexual energy diminishes with age, but the need stays, then there must be something else.
No, I still say that it is the sexual energy, the touch, the sexual touch, the erotic touch, the everything remains the same at whatever age you go. Maybe you do not feel that horny kind of things as you have done in 20s or 30s, but I will say that more mature sexual love exists at 80 than in 20s.
Okay, even if a man, let's say, isn't able to get an erection anymore, it doesn't change that
It
energy?
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You have got erotic touches, you have got kisses, you have got many form of sex are there, and I think it does not matter much.
Okay. Very good. So maybe another question I have in regards to sex is that if sexuality is such an important lead in a love relationship, yes, is there a way to enhance our love in relationships by enhancing our sex? Is that the right conclusion? Or does it go the other way, that good sex comes from the love, not the love comes from good sex? Or does it go both ways?
Yes, it goes both ways. If you have got deep love inside, you will have better sex. And when you have better sex, you will have deep love.
So, as a Tantra master who knows about this, do you have any advice for us on how to deepen our sexual experience, and with it, the strength of our relationship and the love within our relationships?
I think my tantra is little different compared to what sexual tantra is, but yes, uh, for deep loving, they can definitely try tantric way of loving. They can try tantra sex. They can stop expecting and trying sex will also help. There are many methods by which it will be helpful.
Okay. I mean, apart from Tantra as being a deep path, or even sexual Tantra as being a deep path towards completion or enlightenment, there must be sexual techniques apart from Tantra, or maybe taking from Tantra and used elsewhere to deepen our sexual experience. Can you share with us in a little more detail
Yes, many
what
of
would
them
you
are there.
recommend? Yes, please tell us a little bit.
Look, if we take care of these small things also, I think our sexual relationship will be much better. We have to understand the physiology of a female, which takes little time compared to the male who want to get ejaculated as quickly as possible. So if we change that and go in the process of slow sex, automatically the pleasure level of male and female both becomes very high, and couples they don't want to leave each other.
So the key is for men to slow down?
Yeah, slow down means have more time for sex, and I think now there are plenty of medicines also available which promises that you can have sex for an hour, 2 3 or whatever, but the idea was to slow down, to have more time in ejaculation, so that your woman, your partner is able to be with you.
Okay. Is this also the reason why sexual experience gets deeper with age? Because the men can last longer?
Yes, this could also be one of the reasons.
Now, another thing I wanted to ask you is that, you're saying, back to the topic of women want to let themselves fall into the arms of a leading man, and vice versa. On the other side, men wants to lead his woman. There is one thing that you told me before, that in sexuality, the woman leads. Can you elaborate on this a little bit, or is this just a deeper tantric practice that has nothing to do with what we're talking about right now?
It has got everything to do with. I think you remember one of my quotes, but you do not remember the other one, which I think I spoke even today also, that both the energies give and both the energies receive. So it is who takes what role does not really matters. But if we allow our partner to take a lead role, it makes her happy. And when a partner becomes happy, I automatically becomes happy.
But I thought she wants to be led. Doesn't that apply in
Eh,
sexuality as well?
that yes, that was not the question in sexuality. In sexuality, both of them plays a very equal role. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less, but yes, both of them gets the pleasure, both of them makes an efforts, both of them love each other, both of them love the act of sex.
I think I'm repeating myself, but if the woman has an emotional need to be led, to be taken care of
In life,
in
the question
life,
was in life, it was not in the sexual act. A woman can be very sexy sometimes in the bed, and we should accept it and admire it.
yes. So, how long do you think a couple should take time to have sex? How much time and how often?
There is
Is there an ideal number, or?
there is no specific rules, but yes, uh, whenever we get involved or indulge ourselves in sex, we must take care that each partner gets satisfied. Whatever time it takes, a couple can decide. But if I get my ejaculation done and my partner has not reached halfway, it is injustice and should be avoided.
And it will probably lead to the unsatisfied partner thinking or looking elsewhere, at least secretly, I would think.
I think yes, everybody has got right to satisfy themselves, and yes, and that could eventually be one of the reason for breakups.
Okay. Now, maybe one more thing, as you're saying that when we get into a relationship, we should really stick together and go through the hardships and just stick with it. And this is very much, I don't know if it's against the philosophy, but it's just not the philosophy of how young people. I don't know in India, but I think in India too, but also in the Western world, how young people approach their relationships. They go into relationships maybe by the age of, I guess, as young as 14, 15, 16, 17. They start to have their first sexual experiences. They're usually done, or many times done, with their first partner very soon, maybe within a year, within 2 years, maybe even within a week or right away. It doesn't seem to be part of the development that we see, that people have their first relationship and they stay together for life. Can you talk a little bit about that, about this development and its consequences and what you think about it?
My opinion is little different than what you are thinking, I think. It depends upon how much you can handle. If you can handle, you can change your partner every day. There is nothing wrong. But I would like to tell you a few things. Do you remember your grandfather's name?
No, I told you last show.
Yeah, and our body remembers it. Our body remembers a lot of things which you do not want to remember. So everything what happens to body remains with it. With every sexual encounter, the positive and negative energy of the partner remains in the body. And slowly what happens that it becomes difficult for us to handle, and we lose trust, we lose a lot of things starts happening in ourselves. The idea is as how much you can handle, you should try. And if you can try the sexual intercourse with one partner and remain trustworthy and faithful, nothing is better than that.
Okay, so you're saying that having sex with multiple partners has an actual disadvantage on an energetic level?
I think that is what I said.
Because the person is taking all the negative traits of their sexual partner.
Negative and positive, but a lot of energy is getting mixed up, and then it becomes difficult for you to handle them.
So what's the difficulty that comes from it? Is it emotional difficulty?
Yeah, it is emotional difficulties and many things comes in with it.
Tell me a few.
Whatever your partner was having, it comes in you.
You mean like STDs, like sexually transmitted diseases, or on an energetic?
Also, diseases also, and energy wise also.
Well, what if you use a condom?
You have got solution for everything, maybe.
I have questions for everything, maybe.
Oh, okay. Touches bring the energy also. Of course, the real sexual intercourse brings deeper energy. Touches doesn't bring deeper, but the moment you are in love with somebody, something from them you receive and something to them you give. And it's definitely an emotional things. And in my opinion, if it is less and the faithfulness and trust remains with single partner, the best it is.
So there are a few things here. So just to clarify this topic about using a condom, you're saying that, if I understood this correctly, are you saying that using a condom there is less energetic transference that is happening?
Yeah, it is.
And does this have a disadvantage as well? Is there less sexual fulfillment that comes with it also?
I don't know, but I will not call it a sex even.
Really?
Uh, yes, I mean, in my opinion, of course, it has to be a little controversial. I wanted to avoid it, but sex is the unification of two bodies. Okay, and unless unification has occurred, it's all useless.
What's the use of this unification?
My another half, which is away from me, when it gets united, the kind of pleasure what a human being feels is immense, and that kind of the pleasure you will never feel in any other work than this unification.
Okay. Okay. Another
There
thing.
may be, I mean, there is another person who came to me and he says that, oh my God, I feel more pleasure when I masturbate. I think he doesn't know probably what the sex is. Okay, but the kind of pleasure what you feel when you unify with your other half is non-comparable with anything else.
So if somebody doesn't have that, what would be your advice for them to get there?
It's a disease. It's they need to go and see some doctor, see somebody to experience it.
What kind of doctor would help them to experience it?
I don't know. I mean, you need to go to somebody who's treating sex, somebody who's uh, treating psychologically.
Okay. Now, there was another thing you were saying, which is that when you have sex with multiple partners, you're not just transferring energy back and forth, but you can also lose energy. Is that correct?
Yes, yes.
How
Transferring energy or losing energy or gaining energy. When transfer is taking place, then only you are losing or gaining.
okay, but when energy is transferring, what happens? Is it equalizing, or what actually happens?
Usually, yes, it is equalizing, but I mean, not in every sense, but yes, it your energy gets equalized with the other partner's energy, and you both becomes one.
So there could be an advantage to having sex with multiple partners because you're gaining energy from other partners.
You are also losing energy to other partner.
Okay.
Whatever the emotions he is carrying, whatever the emotions he is carrying, you become part of that emotions. Whatever you see, you do not realize it because your brain probably doesn't understand it, but your body does understand it.
Okay. How long do these emotions stay from the other after the intercourse from the other partner?
I think they stay for lifelong.
Okay. And there is no way to avoid this from happening?
There had been several methods in spirituality, and I think when I was traveling in Germany, it was a news to me also that prostitutes there, they had a system of cleaning energetically after every sexual intercourse or sexual whatever you call, and there are methods known to different part of the society of cleaning. Spiritually also, protection is a method, but yes, I think most of us we do not know about these and end up in emotional traumas and all that.
Yeah, and it's also the question how well this works, right? I mean, just because you're
Yeah, that is also a question how well it works. Yes.
yes. Okay, I think we're ending here with a very explosive topic, as you're basically saying have as few as possible partners in your life, which is relatively contrary to how many aspects of our society work. I think we're at the end of our show. Is there anything you would like to shout out to our lovers out there, to partners in relationships out there as a last advice before we end the show?
Expect less, have more trust, your relationship will blossom.
Thank you very much for joining us, and have a great week. Thank you for listening to another episode of Guru Talks. Share this episode with anyone who wants to be enlightened by Guru Bhaneswaranand, and don't forget to click subscribe.